It's throwback night for the Area Florida Estate Builders Pro Series, and that means paint schemes from the past at a track from the past. It's Darlington, the track too tough to tame, the lady in black, whatever you call it. It's home for round number 7 of the season. Tonight, the goal is to survive 130 laps of this famous egg-shaped oval and do your best to get one or fewer of those famous Darlington stripes. Hi everybody, welcome back to SimTV. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by Connor Horn and Hunter Sleppy. Round number 7 of the season, guys, and so far, Connor, it has absolutely been the driver of the number 7, James Scioli, who has been dominant on the season. 4 victories in that number 7 car, and he's hunting for a 5th tonight. He looks unstoppable.
He darn right does look unstoppable. It's not just the road courses, it's every single track. Charlotte, Iowa, now at Darlington, he's at the top of the pylon. He just looks absolutely unbeatable. He already won a race here this week on Tuesday night, and he's ran up front in almost every single race he's ran this season, minus a few he might have been involved in a crash in. That 7 car is so far the driver to beat in 2 of our 3 area series.
It is indeed the car to beat, but looking at Justin Munsell in the 6, I don't know if we've mentioned that yet. I just got back, by the way, for those that are tuning in. 6 car Justin Munsell is a pretty neat throwback to Travis Pastrana. It's weird saying that it's a throwback because of how recent it feels, but that 6 car, he's second in points. He's really been knocking on the door for that first win. I feel like it might come tonight, but although that 7 is pretty fast, I gotta give it to the 6 of Munsell. Early on, going to be my pick to win.
Well, we'll talk more about the picks to win in a little while here, Connor, but it is throwback night. Let's have a look at the playout picture. Again, we mentioned 4 wins for Scioli and Sogak and Cameron Hearn also locked in. Munsell on the outside looking in, Peckner, Therry, and Furness and more. Drivers like Senesac, Fambro still on the outside looking in, but it is throwback tonight, and that means we have a whole bunch of throwback liveries to enjoy here this evening. John Furness, he runs that one basically every week, but there's a whole lot of others that we need to bring attention to. There's the 9. That's a Chase Elliott Xfinity Series scheme, I think back from his championship year. David Weishart is indulging tonight, Connor, as we step through the field.
Yep, the Ken Schrader throwback, another Skull Bandit classic paint scheme there, as we'll see him ride tonight. Probably compete for the win. He was the best of the rest last night. And then here we go, another one, Casey Kane throwback. Craziest. It's the one thing that's weird about Throwback Week. We're not going too far back anymore, but still, this paint scheme debuted 11 years ago. Casey Kane, Farmers Insurance throwback. Cameron Hearn not participating tonight, but you know he'll be competing tonight. Also, Shane Theory in the monster scheme he's been running for the last few weeks. And we go to Travis Beckner. That's a throwback to James Hilton. I believe he might have been the oldest driver to ever try to compete in the Daytona 500. As you can tell, it's an old-timey throwback to an old-timey veteran legend driver.
Very old indeed, and here's Mason Kane with a Robbie Gordon singular wireless throwback, this time with Black Buffalo on. He's had a pretty solid last couple of weeks, looking to keep it rolling here in Darlington. And then, there was Alex Weaver, but he's in that Busch Light throwback, the one that Kevin Harvick ran a week ago at North Wilkesboro. And then here's Colin Fambro with a throwback to Jeff Gordon's Pepsi scheme, with a shout out to Cosmin Yonishiwu for making that scheme for the 18. It looks really good on that Xfinity car.
Yeah, something about those blues. Always loved that paint scheme on Jeff Gordon's car. Anytime it was anything other than the normal flames, whether it was the green, the Nicorette scheme, or this, it looks really, really good. Justin Munsell, you pointed out, Hunter, this Travis Pastrana throwback from 2012, if I recall correctly. And as Connor mentioned, we're not really going that far back. But for me, these are some of the most nostalgic, because this is when I was a kid watching NASCAR. I wasn't watching it in the 70s, 80s, or even the 90s. It was the early to mid-2000s that where I started it, and it was really the 2010s where I started to kind of lock all the paint schemes in the memory bank. And Connor, this one is a striking one.
Definitely a striking one. It stuck out on the racetrack when he drove his one and only full-time season in Xfinity. It might have been 2013, but it was definitely around the 12-13 range, and it definitely pops out. The most recognizable scheme, one of the most recognizable schemes tonight. Jordan Martin, another one. Briefly, Matt Kenseth drove it, Crown Royal scheme, but he drove it through a few victories, and he was fast in it, no doubt. The Roush throwbacks are on point. Tom Bourne needs no introduction with another beautiful Greg Biffle throwback, just like he ran one on Tuesday night. Michael Muhammad not participating. Ooh, there's a 95 of Spencer Brown. They made contact. That's another good paint scheme, though, as we'll look at the 95 a little bit. And down to Leo, down to 22nd. Gak Joe, and also down in 24th. And Nick Silver. This is an old-timey throwback. I have not done my research on this one.
Ooh,
is this a very old throwback?
This is Tim Flock. says it right over the driver's side window. That is a great looking throwback all the way to the days of yesteryear. Looking great in that number 46. Ryan Swan, I think this is a Mike Bliss throwback. Actually fits the HyperX branding pretty well. As we look down the rest of the field, Garrett Grant not participating. Neither is Side and Fide. Matthew Cochran in the number 4. I believe that's a Paul Menard throwback there, as we get one last look at the last couple of drivers here. The 95 we've mentioned is that Casey Kane. Connor, was it, you say it was a Michigan scheme?
Yeah, he ran it at Michigan, a Mountain Dew paint scheme. It looks pretty sporty, no doubt about it. It's Derminable wall. That looks like the one car. I feel like I've seen that ran, but I can't put my finger on it. Rick Mast, yes, maybe. Oh, he's got SimTV on the side.
I love the old-timey SimTV logo there. There actually is vintage SimTV logos. They don't quite look like that. Just when we started, before I knew how to make something that was even half decent looking. But yeah, a really cool night, and we're going to get to see a lot more of them on track as we go day to night in a 130-lap race. And Connor, we've been treated to some pretty exciting races here this week, Monday night and then into Tuesday, where we saw only one yellow flag despite having lots of opportunities for those yellow flags.
I mean, anytime you don't have a yellow come out when you go 4 wide at Darlington, it's pretty hectic. And also, you got to have a lot of good racecraft to do that. And everyone did a great job on Tuesday night, but we got to do the same tonight. It's going to be a much more difficult race, I think. I think the Xfinity cars are a lot harder to handle, but hopefully for these drivers, once the night sets in, the lights come on, it should be a little bit easier to navigate around this racetrack. But even still, the lack of downforce, along with the horsepower in these Xfinity cars, you're going to be on edge regardless all night long.
And that will be the 5 of Garrett Grant, looking to be on edge tonight and throwing it back to actually last week's race. 5 is, and countless other cars. Yeah, the week before. Throwing it back and see what the 5 can do.
Love the day-to-night transition here. It is absolutely gorgeous, sun glinting off the cars here. And there's something about driving this B-Class Xfinity Series car here. It is a really dynamic car to drive at this racetrack. Just the right balance of power and weight. And downforce. It just feels really good to drive on your own. I think the last race I did with this car, which, again, I don't race a whole lot. The last race I did with this car years ago was here, at least on the oval side of things. And Garrett Grant comes across the stripe on his one and only qualifying lap, only good enough for second quick, as Mason Kane went to the top of the board in the number 31. And here comes everyone else. But I don't think we got to look at the 09 in practice, Connor.
No, he did not. That's a Phoenix Racing throwback, very recognizable. Brad Keselowski, I think the most famous driver to drive it, drove it to that win at Talladega after he put Carl Edwards accidentally into a fence. He goes 5th on the timing sheet in that 09 car. Always loved that paid scheme. Chris Seidenfeld, he's bringing it down pit road. He started his lap, must have hit the wall. So you can see some right front damage, just barely there, just over the safer barrier, so he will not get a time down tonight.
Kane currently quickest. I was going to say track record 29.605. That was set from Alan Elwood 2 seasons ago. So we'll see if anyone can dethrone that time. For the moment, though, still only 6 cars out. Looking to make it 7 is the 50 of Casey Lakatos, who is still inside the playoff picture, but only by a slim margin.
Here comes Casey Lakatos up onto the racetrack here, the number 50. This is very Hot Wheels-esque, Connor.
Yeah, it's actually Ryan Newman in the All-Star race. It was a Transformers car, which is what this is based on. So Transformers throwback. Oh, throwing it back to when the Cup cars had little downforce. As he slides out.
What's on the hood?
I could not tell. You see once he resets, most likely. Redenzo, yep, that's a sponsor.
Yeah, it looks like SimTV and the Redenzo logos. They're throwing it all the way back to the Redenzo Sports Car Challenge. If anyone remembers 2020 SimTV days, big slide for Michael Muhammad on the exit at turn 2.
That was a good time to cut, but that's going to be the trouble spot, especially once we're not in that transition. Turn 2 is going to be very sideways, and also if you get sideways out of 2, you're going to get sideways into turn 3 as well, because those rear tires will not be happy. This is going to be a very sloppy lap for the 78. It's going to be fast at all, 30.134. Unfortunately not. He's 6th. It looks like a lot of drivers still waiting to go out, seeing if that track temperature goes down just a little bit.
Here's the 2 of Greg Mitch looking to put up a quick time on the board. He's currently stagnant in points right now, 17th. Quick, he does, however, have a top 5 and a top 10 on the year. Looking to add to that, and look at that. Pole for the moment for Greg Mitchell, just barely edges ahead of Kane, 29.822.
Here comes Dom DeLeo into turn 3. And again, this racetrack, as you saw in the opening moments, Darlington, an egg-shaped racetrack because there was a farmer that didn't want to give up his land on one end of the racetrack and basically forced the track to have the shape it has today as Dom DeLeo goes fourth quick. And my other favorite tidbit is that this racetrack was never designed to be run anywhere above the dotted white line. That was designed as runoff area, and the drivers quickly figured out that the higher banked runoff was faster. They went up there, as so did Cameron Hearn up into the outside wall. And so that safety margin was never used as such and is now where the racetrack is, and that hence why Casey Licata is really struggling here in qualifying. That's why the racing line is so narrow. It wasn't supposed to be where you raced, and that's why the apron is so big.
That's what's made this track one of the best for racing on the schedule for NASCAR in the real world. It's just absolutely wild when you try to fit 2 cars into turn number 1. It rarely works, but once people try it, man, it gets wild. I can't believe how sideways Licata has gotten that run, but he did not spin it. Won't be a good lap. David Weishart put in the wall on his warm-up lap earlier, but you can see he's back on, looking to get a good flyer down. And look at the right rear, the way it kicks out. That's what you got to do out of the corners to make some speed, especially on fresh tires.
Look at him leading his head, too, through the corner, trying to mimic what it's like in real life for these Cup guys, Xfinity guys, and truck guys.
Got his tongue hanging out and the rear end hanging out. 29.816, top of the board for David Weishart.
I was about to say, you're hanging your tongue out, you know you're doing something, and you're good flying right there. By 7/1000th of a second, he got Greg Mitchell there, but there's still a lot of heavy hitters to go. Even still, Travis Beckner, the James Hilton throwback we mentioned, he's on a hot lap right now as he sails into turn number 3, running that bottom line. Washes up a little bit. Don't really want to do that if you're putting the time down, but looks like he got a really good run.
Cameron
An
Hearn
interesting note here.
to the top of the board. Sorry, Hunter.
It's an interesting note here in the Twitch chat. I believe this is Travis's dad putting it. James Hilton was Travis's granddad's great uncle.
Wow.
So a little tie there between the two. And here's the 9 of Brad Slaughter. And this is the paint scheme of Chase Elliott, in which he won his first Xfinity race on this track.
Was it his first?
Went from
I thought Texas was his first. Oh,
this one. I count this one as his first because he went from 6th to 1st in 2 laps to win.
By the way, Travis Beckner went to the top of the board, besting Cameron Hearn, so moved to 27 through the pointy end right now, but still lots left to go, including some very quick drivers. Here comes Brad Slaughter Jr. nice and low out of turn number 4. And across the stripe, Brian Swan only 12th quick. Brad Slaughter Jr. 29.736. That's P1 for now.
You see the track gets cooler and cooler. The times are getting faster and faster, and that was by a lot, too. That was by over half a tenth. Slaughter went to pole. As we look at Ryan Hart's, I did figure out, wow, it's in the wall, and he is not going to get a time down. He's going to start from the back. And I did find out what this throwback was, Kyle. It's a Kurt Busch 2012 throwback to his Phoenix racing days.
Of course.
Makes a lot more sense, which is funny because I think he had his most famous outburst at this track in 2012, so probably the reason why he threw back to it. I'm sure he had the same outburst when he hit the wall, but hopefully he doesn't have any of that during the races. Colin Fambro comes to 3 and 4. This is my favorite just for nostalgia. I was a huge Jeff Gordon fan as a kid, and seeing him rocket to the front at Talladega in the fall was wild. He crosses the line to 29.785, puts him P3.
Boy, one driver who I'm looking at, haven't seen yet, it's not Shane Therian, although he's in the wall, the 7 of James Skyley. He's yet to go out, put a lap down. Quite a bit of driver out there. He is right there. Quite a bit of guys that have to put a lap down. Only a little more than 2 minutes remaining.
Just starting his lap, he will this time through. Off into turn 1 for James Scioli. 4 wins on the season. Handily leading the point standings and has a pretty good jump headed into the playoffs in a couple of weeks. As we approach the playoff picture here, we're not too far away. And just like in the past, Jake Nichols in the Cup Series where he was running away, Scioli is doing that a little bit here as well. So if there's anyone that's got a target on his back, it's Scioli. But the problem is no one's been able to even shoot for the target. He's been so far out in front. Let's see if he can get there. Can he go to the top of the board? Needs a 29.736, and yes, to the top of the board by a couple hundredths of a second. He will go.
Once again, beat that pole speed by a very solid margin. 7.96 in positions 1, 2, 3. Alex Weaver went to 4th just recently, so great run for the 62. As still a few more drivers to go. Got a minute 20 to go. John Furness will be one of the late goers here. He's really the only one putting a time down right now.
Wow, not even the 3 of Ryan Hart's going to put a time down. That's interesting to note.
I think he hit the wall when we were looking at him. That was his lap. See what Furness can do in the 1. Got to get all the left sides on that dotted line. The right side's as close to that red and white wall as you can get. Turn it down, but hopefully not have a big slide like that to break up your momentum, but he handled it well.
See how he handles 3 and 4. It's going to be tricky in turn 4 because you're going to want to get on that throttle as soon as you can without scraping it. Oh, you're going to get through just fine. Will be enough for pole.
29.866. It is not. It's going to put him down in 15th place. I'm sure he would have liked a little bit better. And Justin Anisogak's in the wall. He was on a quick lap entering turns 1 and 2. And Ryan Dunkelberger on the 26. Nice looking livery on this. Not a throwback, but certainly pretty. He's going to be close if he can get back to the stripe or not. 15 seconds remaining here in qualifying.
I think he's going to get there. His time should go on the board with 10 seconds to go. As long as you don't hit the wall, it'll count. As long as we didn't miss him hitting the wall. He's at a 4, nice and clean. 29.992. That puts him in 21st position, and he should be... Oh, no, he is the very last driver to put a time down.
Well, qualifying complete. It's James Scioli on the top of the board next to Brad Slaughter Jr. Really strong qualifying effort by both of those drivers as we get set to go racing here in just a couple moments. Race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all area broadcasts commercial free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat and earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. And in just a moment, we're going to go through our Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems Coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. All right, guys. Well, it is 130 laps tonight, and Connor, we saw how quickly laps can tick by under green. We saw that on Tuesday night. It was basically a 2-stop race there. It was going to be a 1-stop for a couple, but Connor, tonight, can we expect to go as green as we saw on Tuesday? I think we were even surprised at how clean and green it was.
Yeah, we were both definitely surprised, and I think I'd be surprised tonight if we had 1 or less yellow. I think these cars are a lot harder to drive than the trucks, a lot harder to race someone side by side in the turn 1 and at a turn 2 side by side. These Xfinity cars are a completely different beast. I know we have a lot of similar drivers, but the cars and trucks, Xfinity and trucks, they're not similar. So I would love to see it go clean and green. This is one of the most fun tracks to drive the Xfinity cars at and watch racing at, but these drivers are going to have to be very on edge, for no doubt about it, and they got to be on their toes to have another race like we had Tuesday night.
Indeed, and I was going to say Season 3 last season, this race had 9 yellows, so I'm not too optimistic that we'll see some clean and green, although it has happened in the past. Not sure if that'll be the case tonight, seeing how the race played a season ago. And in last season's race, there was a late race caution, so we might get a green-white checker at the very end, Kyle, but not 100% sure. All I know is that tonight's racing is going to be pretty fun to watch.
And it has been fun. And Darlington's one of those old-school tracks that absolutely punishes you for making a mistake. But it also gives you the opportunity to save it if you know what you're doing behind the wheel. You can make a mistake and slam the wall, or if you don't overcorrect, you can find yourself sliding down the banking. You get a chance to save it. So it's a track that can giveth and a track that can taketh away. But all I know is that it's been entertaining here this week. We just await the starting grid here in just a couple of minutes to get us started for round number 7 of the Area Pro Series. Now, in terms of where we're headed on the schedule, next up, we're going to have a couple weeks off, but we will return with action for the Pro Series from Pocono on June 15th. Followed by Atlanta, and then we go back road racing at Elkhart Lakes Road America. Then Indianapolis, Talladega, Chicago, before Auto Club Las Vegas, Richmond, and Homestead wrap up the season. So counting down the days to the playoffs, Connor, and we're getting closer than ever.
Yeah, I'm scared. The only track I'm scared to go to is Atlanta. We saw some cars go flying there last year, so that's going to be pretty wild for sure. I'm hoping I'm not the one flying this season, but yeah, getting closer to the playoffs in all 3 series, and some battles for the top spot and for the cut line are closer than others. Obviously, right now, I would say in this series we're covering tonight, it's not really too close, I would say. I think it's a 5-point gap, Licata to Fambro, but other than that, there's a lot of drivers below the cut line here, and if there's going to be any track where things can get shaken up, it is tonight at Darlington, because you can see a lot of some of the fastest guys get into trouble here. It's very early to do so. We saw it in real life, and we've seen it in area in the past at Darlington, so this is a track where you have to be on your A game, no mistakes.
And no Dancy Ricky Springer tonight for those wondering.
Boo.
So we get a look at some of the drivers who have given us their in-camera setup, in studio setup. Still not sure how this is, but face cam, if you will. And one of those you saw, David Weissart, looking to continue momentum swinging in his direction, not too far outside of the cutoff line. Him, Senesac, Kane, Garrett Grant, they've been big movers throughout the season, and just the last few weeks, Senesac, Kane, and Grant each moved up 6 spots in the points from the last race, so they're looking to keep their momentum rolling into the Lady in Black. Too tough to tame Darlington.
As I said
and
earlier,
there's a little vape.
Yep. He was rejuicing that sucker a minute ago, and I was trying to get that on camera, but I missed it.
He's ready to rip tonight.
He better be. Maybe leave that 007 cloud of smoke. Everyone can't get through it. There it is. I have those same gloves. Finney and I both got those gloves a handful of years ago. And we were waiting for Paul Urban to get a chance to jump back in because he had lost connection to the server. Didn't know if he got in or not, but that was what the holdup was. And Connor, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, he did not get in. Depending on if he starts just for the session, he might still be able to get in. As a matter of fact, he literally just connected. So 2 minutes, always 2 minutes to grid in area series. So he might have a chance to get in after all. And we should have all 35 of us, not me, I'm not racing. All 35 of the drivers tonight should get on track.
Well, it's about time for the starting grid here, presented by Roasted Gems Coffee. So let's kick things off and roll on through it here before we go racing for 130 laps tonight. Row number 1, it's going to be James Scioli, the points leader. 4 wins on the season, going for a 5th in his Chevrolet Camaro. Brad Slaughter Jr. lines up in 2nd on the outside of the front row.
Justin Munsell starting P3 with a solid time, looking to have another solid run tonight. Alongside him will be Alex Weaver and that Kevin Harvick throwback.
And row number 3, it's Colin Fambro, the number 18, throwing it back with Jeff Gordon liveries from mid-2000s. Travis Beckner starts 6th in the number 27. Family paint scheme in that paddock.
Yep, running in the family for Beckner. And then 7th place, row number 4, Cameron Hurd in 67. He's been on a streak as of late, looking to get back to that. And then the Casey Kane throwback for Matthew Bell, who's been solid on the short tracks, looking to find something on the bigger tracks.
And David Weissart rolls off 9th in the number 33. Great looking Skoll throwback in that car on the inside of the 5th row. Greg Mitchell starts 10th in the number 2.
That P11, the 31 of Mason Kane, that Robbie Gordon throwback, which looks so sharp and looking better under the lights. Sim goes to Tom Ford, who's high up in the truck stand and is looking to find a little bit of speed in the Pro Series.
13th place is Garrett Grant, the number 5. Jordan Martin, Matt Kenseth, Crown Royal throwback, starts 14th.
15th place, I think someone who has to climb through the field and could be a favorite tonight is John Furness in the 28. And then alongside him, I think another Mustang will be the 22 of Dom DeLeo.
And behind them, 17th place is Ed Robertson in the 64. And Austin Gaccione in the number 8 rolls off 18th.
Nick Silver, I think the Tim Flock throwback we mentioned, starting P19 alongside him. That Kozlowski Phoenix Racing throwback, whatever you want to call it. That's Bryce Senesac, he starts 20th.
21st place is Ryan Dunkelberger in the number 26. Ryan Swan in that Mike Bliss throwback starts 22nd in the number 20.
Some of the last drivers to put a time down on the timesheet tonight. Michael Muhammad in the 78 starts 23rd, and he'll be alongside Andrew Santo.
25th place is Matthew Cochran in the number 4. Ryan Hartz rolls off in 26. This is the car you pointed out is the Kurt Busch Phoenix Racing paint scheme. He starts 26th.
We'll see if he can get through the field and not be reaching like Kurt Busch was back then. 27th place, Shane Thieren, the recognized Monster Energy throwback. And then the Transformers throwback, the 50, in case the cause will have a camera on him all night long.
Chuck Sweeting rolls off 29th alongside Forrest Smith in the number 81 in 30th.
31st place, the Daytona winner, Justin Sogak, looking for some more momentum after, I believe, a good finish last week. Alongside him, Paul Swerve Irvin, who's slated to start 32nd, and he is, I believe, in here. Yes, he's on pit road, though.
Steve Durham, Chris Seidenfeiden, and Spencer Brown bring up the tail of the field here tonight. Hunter, I think you already picked the number 6. Not a bad pick tonight. I am going to go with the driver rolling off in position number 6. I think Travis Beckner gets it done, Connor.
Okay, I'm picking Scioli. I didn't think I'd be able to get him, but I'm going easy. If he doesn't win, so be it. But you cannot bet against this guy. What, 4 wins this season? He looks downright unstoppable.
130 laps tonight for the area of Florida State Builders Pro Series from Darlington. It's race number 7 of the season. Time to crank up the engines, light the fires, and spin the tires. Here we go. Green flag flies at the Lady in Black. Side by side for the lead and for 5th place. They come out of turn 4, and it's Scioli leading over Slaughter. And now everyone tries to get single file before the run into turn 1. It's high velocity here. Beckner on the outside of Colin Fambro on the 18.
Mason Kane dropped back, not sure why. There was contact with Hartz and Santo, but other than that, pretty clean for the time being. Everyone's still trying to get a single file, which we saw Tuesday night. Everyone got single file pretty early, but harder to do in these Xfinity cars.
Rolling through 3 and 4, like I said, mostly single file, but and I'm really sure the issue there with Mason Kane is going to be a big hindrance to him. And is that Michael Irvin on the apron?
Yes. He let the field by because he started from the pits and he didn't really want to be in the way, so he just got out of the way.
Mason's in the pits.
Might have had a hardware issue of some sort because he's out of a car.
Interesting to note, Travis Beckner has a look at Alex Weaver into turn number 3, and up ahead the 9 is Slaughter Jr. up a little bit high. It's going to open the door for Justin Munsell and the number 6 who closes in.
Mason Kane pulled off for a family matter, so wish the best for him. Not sure what is there, but that's all more important than anything sim racing has to do here. As we look at Justin Munsell on board already, I said it was hard to get single file. We did get single filed out pretty quickly, and everyone's trying to catch their bearings and just run the race. It's one thing that's most important at Darlington. You're not racing other drivers, you're racing the racetrack before anything else.
And the 7 is Scioli. But that's nothing new here in the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series as the 7 continues to lead, and Munsell's still making life not too sweet for the 9 of Slaughter.
A little bit of side-by-side into turn 1. There's Cameron Hearn in the 67. Pounding the back of the 18 to Colin Fambro. These drivers are fighting for...
Fambro got turned.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is going to be a big one, guys.
Oh, no. Look out. Oh,
man.
17's in it.
17.
Jordan Martin.
Well, first caution out, lap number 5. Let's have a look.
See here, middle of turn 1 and 2. It's Cameron Hearn who kind of let him go. Yeah, 18 had a little wiggle there and tried to gather it, and Hearn just really didn't give him a chance to. And Bell, I think, got turned by Greg Mitchell trying to check up.
Garrett Grant, too.
Yeah, Garrett Grant hit hard. Ed Robertson, not sure if he got damaged, but he could have gotten a lot worse there. We'll get a different view here. 18 wiggles, and 67 just kind of lays the bumper to him.
Oh, that 43 just had absolutely nowhere to go. The 5 at Garrett Grant in there as well. Then the 17 gets trapped. Nothing he really could have done to miss that, unfortunately.
Yeah, not wrong there, as a lot of drivers are going to come down to pit road. Most of the drivers who will come down are just going to look to repair damage. Hearn's going to come down. He's probably anticipating getting the EOL for that, but a lot of destroyed cars that were at the front. Greg Mitchell, Garrett Grant, Tom Bourne pits. He got through there cleanly, however. Ed Robertson, actually, compared to what I thought he was going to have, looks okay, but majority of the front runners stay out.
Let's see, how many of those are actually pitting? Seems like a good bit, even though we've only got 5-6 laps on a set of tires.
Well, the tires wear out pretty quick. We saw that on Tuesday, but I think maybe is there also a potential to get yourself into a one-stop window here? I mean, maybe, but I don't know if I would be committing to that strategy this early in the race.
I'm expecting 2 stops. So we could barely go 65, 70 laps on a tank in a cup car. Same thing I said on Tuesday night, how the tanks are bigger, but it plays a bigger factor here because instead of trying to go 60 to halfway, it's 65. So I don't think we'll see 1 stops happen, but just never know.
That'll be a fun thing to tell if we have a green flag run on this next stint. If the 7-lap difference on tires is that big of an advantage.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, that's the beauty of doing this early in the race, is you have that opportunity to test things out and see if the tires are worth it. If we get 8 laps to go, guys, and this strategy works out, they'll know what to do when the time comes.
You also got to have set at your disposal if we get a yellow after a decent run with 8 laps to go. We saw pit strategy with all the yellows we saw last season. We saw a lot of strategies come into play. I can't remember if it was Cameron Hearn or Alan Elwood. They pit from the lead after not a long run, and they could never really recover from that because we kept getting yellow after yellow, had the green-white checkered, even had a wreck on the white flag that threw a lot of things out of proportion. It was a wild one last season, and who knows, we could be in for the same tonight after getting a yellow just 6 laps in.
Yeah, and interesting to note with that last restart, or second to last restart in that race, it was actually Hearn who was in a position to win and then botched it. And that led to Scioli winning, only leading 68 laps in. But there is Fambro and there's Matthew Bell. Both those drivers are going to try and get their races back in the right direction. But I don't know. I still feel like the 6 of Munsell, I feel like he'll have a better car in the long run. And that sounds impossible to say with the 7 of Scioli being in the lead. But I feel like that 6 is going to have something for the 7 if we have a long run.
I think the possibility is there. I think you get the car spread out, and they did spread out pretty nicely there. That contact was front to rear after a couple laps of established racing, nose to tail. So I think the potential for a long green flag run is there. So maybe everyone's just getting themselves set up for that. And 6 laps certainly will make a difference, but maybe they're just expecting it to be green from here. But I just don't know if you can know that at this stage of the race. But sun is setting. What a gorgeous night it is. The virtual Darlington, South Carolina. And a couple drivers coming back down to pit lane. Casey Licata, Steve Durham, Spencer Brown. Reed topping off potentially before getting racked up and stacked up to go again.
No reason not to. Gives you 8 laps over the guys who hadn't pit at the very least. So if you're at the back, there's no reason not to do that as we get ready to go green. Scioli does take the outside, probably just trying to keep Brad Slaughter Jr. in a battle side by side. They'll give Alex Weaver a chance to maybe get the runner-up spot here.
So Robertson's the first one on 4 tires. There's a lot of guys who looked like they topped off on fuel, but some did take 4, and Robertson's one of them. I'm going to keep my eye on him and see how much ground he's making up.
Live timing and scoring with all that information is available for spectators. SimTVBroadcasting.com. Click the timing tab and pull up live timing and scoring, including stints and pit windows and things of the sort. Here comes James Scioli and Brad Slaughter Jr. back to the restart at lap number 10. Here we go.
Another car on the AP.
Morgan, I think.
Onto the back straightaway, so far so good. 27 of Beckner to the bottom of Alex Weaver in the 62, and John Furness watching from behind.
Weaver, don't know what happened. Looked like they were going to get second, but not a good run off of turn 2. Stuck on the top side. Not much grip on the outside of 3 and 4 just yet. It's much better to be on the bottom through there. Weaver wasn't, but was able to maintain over Beckner to at least stay in 5th. They lose a spot on that restart as they get single file pretty quick.
Yeah, Weaver looked like he was going to take 2nd and then falls all the way back to 5th, and now he's got Travis Beckner hunting on his bumper, riding on board with him.
Beckner looking pretty good here early. 6th place, he's been there since the drop of the green, but it's been an aggressive 6th. He's been hanging on somebody's bumper since the initial opening laps of this race. And look how James Scioli has just driven away 0.8 of a second advantage in 2 laps after a restart.
And a lot of that was through turns 1 and 2 when they were side by side for a lot of that corner. But we talk about it all the time, how much momentum you lose when you're even side by side for a tiny fraction of turns 1 and 2. It just completely ruins momentum, and that's a big reason why Scioli's almost out to a 2nd lead over the Napa Chevy.
And right behind Santo, you see an orange car. That is Ed Robertson. Trying to work his way through with the newer tires. Hasn't moved up just yet. Did restart 17th, but holding his own for now as, boy, here comes Tom Bourne in the 16 looking dicey.
Coming in a hurry, and remember, he was involved in that collision on the entry into the back straight was able to dodge a lot of it to the inside, but had to go way up and lost some positions in that incident. So he's going to try to regain some of them after starting up inside the top 15. David Weishart and Justin Munsell trading spots, give the 33 third place.
Up the third there, good move there. Munsell not willing to fight side by side in the turn 1 on lap 14, which is completely smart. Weishart comes over to radio saying he'll get it back. So that's the important part about give and take, especially early on. You give right now, you'll be given later in the race if you get the opportunity. As Scioli getting reeled in here a little bit by Slaughter, but I think that's a lot of tire saving, Hunter.
Indeed, as Weaver is falling outside the top 5 now, just losing another spot to John Furness, who now sees the bumper of Nick Silver in the 46 getting closer and closer in his mirror.
And just line astern like this, I mean, they're very orderly here in picking their passes one at a time. They're not getting too greedy with it. But again, as I mentioned, this is probably the most fun combination of the week to drive on your own. And you can really get yourself into a good rhythm and be able to save tires. You don't feel like you have to race everyone else at the same time. You can get into your own rhythm and race at your own pace and either go forward or you're going backward. But you don't feel like you have to be elbows out all the time.
No, this is definitely not a track where you want to be elbows out, because if you're elbows out, you're not going to get away with it. You're going to be in the wall along with whoever you're battling contact-wise, so no reason to do that. Definitely a track where you need to have absolute finesse, and a lot of drivers up at the front, the top 5 especially, have it right now. They pulled away from John Furness in 6th, Weaver in 7th, Nick Silver, Dunkelberger, Senesac the top 10, as pretty sorted out. There was a gaggle of cars for 19th, but they've sorted each other out and start to get that spread out that we were talking about earlier.
We right on board the bumper as Scioli. Watch the 9 of Slaughter and how he attacks the corner. Well, is it going to happen here? Yeah, I didn't know if Weishart was going to have a run to the inside or not. Didn't have a good run off the corner there, but past couple of laps, he's been having really nice corner exits through turn 4. He's been entering high and then merging low, getting the run on the straights. That's what led him catching Scioli momentarily, but now Weishart's all over his bumper.
Yeah, top 3 are beginning to kind of separate themselves. Beckner was all sorts of sideways, leaving turn number 2. And here's that scrap I think you were referencing a minute ago, Connor, for 17th, 18th, and 19th. And Greg Mitchell under fire from Manasogak, and Cameron Hearn on his recovery drive from that penalty from the earlier contact.
Yeah, this was sorted out for the time being, but Andrew Santo bounced off the wall entering turn 1 as he gets sideways off of 4. Mitchell in the wall, he gets it straight, but Santo had pounded the wall through turn 1 on the exit of the big part of turn 1, so it's easy to do. Santo's the first one I've seen do that.
Hearn is in he's in a mess right now. Whoa, here goes Justin, like 4 lanes low.
Man, Santo is sideways. Might be in the wall again here. Not quite.
Well, in the wall is the drinking game here at Darlington. That Darlington stripe, you're going to get it at some point or another, and a couple of cars in the wall out of turn number 4 as they come across the stripe and continue to try to sort it out.
Yeah, Santo's going to fall here if he keeps walling it like that, and he's still not done. He's got 4 more drivers behind him, squeating side fat for Smith. Mark Truex started back for Smith. We didn't talk about that, in case Licata's there as well. So in a very tough spot, he's got to be careful.
Well, Weishart has now taken over seconds. We ride on board Shane Therian in the 38 car, looking behind Michael Muhammad. Muhammad's actually going to give him the outside heading into the turn. It's not going to be enough.
I think Therian thought better of it. Ooh, lifted the throttle there after thinking about sticking the nose in on the outside, but you're really at the whim of the driver underneath you when you do that, Connor, and as much as you want that outside lane to carry momentum, you don't want to get squeezed up there if the driver underneath makes a mistake. So Shane's going to drop to the inside, which is the easier place to feel comfortable making a pass, and it's going to hold up the 78 a bit more as that Sogak slides to the inside.
He got a piece of the apron in turn 4, and he really slid the tires there. That lets Greg Mitchell to the top. Too wide in turn 1. Haven't seen much of it. Got to be careful. Mitchell did a great job keeping the momentum and clears the 88 back as Michael Muhammad is able to maintain 17th place for now, as very sideways off the corner. A few battles forming here and there. Ed Robertson, I believe he's on new tires, yes, and he's getting by Austin Gagjon. I'll show you Andrew Santo still really struggling with that 10 machine.
Still struggling.
Little action here, up just with Bryce Senesac, Ryan Dunkelberger, Swan and Hartson more. Whoa, that got tight into turns 1 and 2. Dunkelberger P9.
Be careful here off of turn 2. It's only going to be even tighter than turn 1. believe it or not, almost looking 3 wide, but here comes Hartz. Kurt Busch throwback, throwing it down to the bottom of the racetrack. That is Ryan Swan. Battle of the Ryans here. Battle of the red and white cars. Battle of the Camaros. Battle of whatever you want to call it. But, oh, they almost made contact out of 4.
Could have been bad for both Ryans in that case, and Tom Bourne as well, because he's watching from behind, trying to see which lane he can go in and which car he can pass. Might pass both here because Swan's coming back. Not going to be enough, though. Boy, good little battle.
And good scraps all around the racetrack at the moment. The one for the lead continues to be pretty warm. I wouldn't call it hot just yet, but Weishart is tracking down James Scioli, who is very well pacing himself on these tires, Connor. Not getting them overheated and driving away and burning them off. He's being very patient. He's in command and control of this race, and he's dictating the pace that everyone else is running right now.
David Weishart's getting tired of seeing used coach Scioli at checkout.
I'd have to think so.
He's seen a lot this week, let alone the entire season. But you can see he's trying to keep the pressure on him, I think, a little bit better than he was in a truck race on Tuesday night. Getting a little bit more clean air on the left front, getting a little lower than Scioli, which is helping him out as these two start to, I wouldn't say they start to gap Brad Slaughter Jr., but Slaughter has dropped a little bit. I'd say these three have definitely put a tiny gap on Justin Munsell at the very least, as the top 8 are very spread out.
I mean, I wouldn't say Weishart's tired of it because that is his car that's winning. Although he's not on his own team, him and Slaughter are on their own team for the Pro Series. So, kind of a happy medium for the 33 of Weishart, and not very happy medium here with his gaggle of cars. There's Santo and Garrick Rant nearly touching each other going into the corner.
Oh!
Bryce Senesac in the 09.
Oh, sorry, it was Santo. It was Santo. He got sideways off of 4, but he saved it. Leo went high. He almost hit the wall. Is Michael Muhammad is the reason why it's spread out in like the top 8, top 16 is Michael Muhammad. He's holding up the back half of the field right now. And he's gonna
gets turned sideways through turns 3 and 4. Bounces off the 67 of Hearn, who's going to slide and spin out of turn number 4. Back up into traffic, and he gets clobbered by the 5.
How does this always happen to Cameron Hearn? How?
The 5 car in particular has been involved in a couple incidents tonight that he didn't start. Both the first caution and now this one, he just didn't have really anywhere to go.
And that's going to be probably a race ender. Cameron Hearn also had nowhere to go, and that's what happens when you get penalized. He spins it, and then he does the best he can locking up. Grant thought he was going to come back up onto the surface, and he didn't. Grant just kind of chose the wrong way that time, unfortunately, as we'll see from his onboard on the Simrat Market replay.
Yeah, and again, the racing line is so narrow, it's difficult to get onto the apron. It's hard to really throw blame at them. There is the 78, gets into the 67 and sends him around for a loop and back up into traffic. Second caution of the night, this time for a 3-car incident. And now this is going to bring everyone to pit lane, guys, with just over 100 laps to go.
Yeah, no doubt. I think everyone should pit here. And it's unfortunate for the ones who did take tires on the early yellow because they'll be most likely down a set. Mason Kane's back on track, notably, so good to see. He had a family matter to attend to, so looks like that's all sorted out. Forrest Smith will stay out. We'll see if that's just to lead a lap, though, as he is on an island, so would not stay out, actually, if I were him, as we'll see if we get any shakers here on the pit stop.
I don't think we see anyone take 2 just yet, but boy, that is that's a killer there for the 67 of Hearn.
Well, pit stop's underway. Looks like rights and left sides for the majority of the field here. 28 of Furness is rolling. Is he going to pick up any spots? The 33 going to beat the 9 out and not quite the 7 as Munsell and Brad Slaughter Jr. trade spots 6th and 7th. The field will get re-racked and restacked. Restart here in just a couple moments. We've seen some Simrat Market replays for the incidents early on in this race. Race fans, be sure to visit simrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. simrapmarket.com. Comes Forrest Smith down pit lane.
He did not get the lap lead, so and he will not this time because here comes Scioli. There would be Notably, no EOL there. Simply racing incident, I believe they will call it.
Yeah, that was just a tough scenario all around, I think. So it's going to reset us with just under 100 laps to go, 30 laps complete. And, you know, we're getting into these pretty reasonable length green flag runs, and the question becomes how much is James Scioli saving? Connor, I think he's saving a ton leading this race. We saw how quickly he can sprint out away from the field, and then he comes right back into the clutches, and I don't think it's him getting run back down. I think he's very cleverly saving tire so that he's got something left at the end of the run.
By the way, we do have people staying out, Matthew Cochran and Paul Irvin, so just make sure we note that before we go anywhere. But yes, I believe you're right. I think Scioli's doing just enough of what he needs to do. He doesn't need to get a big lead. He doesn't need to go out in front and just absolutely demolish everyone tonight, especially with how the tires are going to wear tonight. What he has to do is just maintain the lead. Simple as that. 33, whoever it is, the 33, the 9, anyone can catch him if he wants them to. So
Brad's coming. Is he coming back down pit road?
no, he's just on the apron. But
he's just toying with me.
yes, he's making fun of you. Why would you think I would pit? But yeah, all Scioli's got to do is keep the lead. I mean, Weishart and Slaughter can lay on his bumper, but passing is so hard here. They're not going to put their cars at risk just to get the lead away from Scioli aggressively. So all James really needs to do is control the pace. It's his race to control right now.
Well, the drivers that were staying out, they did hit pit lane, Matthew Cochran and Paul Irvin. That will promote James Scioli back to the lead, and he will end up on the outside line. David Weishart will be alongside him once again. Then it's Justin Munsell, Brad Slaughter Jr., Travis Beckner, Furness, Weaver, Hart, Senesac, and Tom Bourne. Rest of your top 10.
Let's see, we got James Scioli first. We have Kent Schrader second. Chase Elliott third. Travis Pastrana fourth. James Hilton fifth. Scioli's out of place here.
Yes, he is. No fun in the Scioli camp, huh?
South Beach Heat is always fun.
That's a good point.
It wins the races.
It has been successful. And honestly, sometimes the best looking race cars are the ones covered in confetti, so there's that.
Well, in this case, hot sauce.
Or hot sauce. Confetti hot sauce.
If the 33 wins, I don't want to picture tools all over the 33 because I would just dent it.
Here we go, lap 33 of 130, coming back to the restart here for the Area Florida State Builders Pro Series. We're back underway. Nice launch by the 7.
Perez there, he's clear into turn 1. The best view you can have on a restart is clear track, but only he has that. Weishart cleared, Munsell gets up to 3rd, Slaughter drops back to 4th as the top 5 gets singled out. Big slide for Beckner as Hartz gets that spot away.
Big moment there for Nick Silver, almost smacked the wall going through turn 2, but huge lead for Scioli. Pays dividends to have that choice of restart as a leader.
Paul Irvin has spun out of turn 2. And he's resetting. He's had issues all night long as here comes the 50 down to the apron. Is he having an issue?
I think he just wanted out of that scenario there. They were really dicey in the middle of the pack. That's what drew my attention here, but he just wanted out. He wants to make it to the end of this race. Is Nick Silver in the 46. That's that light blue car. He's got the rear end of that thing punched in from earlier contact. Right up underneath the 20 of Ryan Swan, and behind him is Dunkelberger and Greg Mitchell. Out front, it's Scioli by 0.8 of a second. The fighting is much deeper here in the field.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Wow.
Someone just smacked the wall coming out of 4.
Is that Muhammad or Matthew Bell? I think it was Muhammad.
Back and have a look.
Oh, Dom DeLeo spinning out of 4. He just hit the inside wall hard, and he got hit again by Steve Durham, and Mason Kane's involved.
Oh, and Kane's going to hit the wall, too.
Well, we're going to go back and look at that contact out of 4, but and we did not get the opportunity. Here's a look at it.
Man, that's a wild sequence. My goodness. Let's see where this starts. Muhammad hit the wall at a 4. That's already done. Here's Dom DeLeo. Swan gets under him. Just a slight nap.
Oh, that's a big hit for the 22. But then Durham, wow.
Durham got shot up into Durham. Durham shot into Kane. Muhammad comes back and just kind of runs through him.
Now, I want to see what happened to Muhammad out of turn 4 that drew so much attention. Was this in 3 and 4 the previous lap? Yes, so
yes,
should be this time. Right here, you see the wobble and pow right into the wall there.
Yeah, big hit there. Steve Durham is up ahead. So we'll see what he sees. Muhammad does.
Here's the crash out of 2. He lifts, trying to figure out which way do you go. The car's just kind of spiraling every direction. And
he blinks.
Then he blinks and comes back, and by then too late. So tough one there.
I've been watching Steve Durham go down the back straightaway. It's well, the one car is looking worse for wear. He hit the wall out of 2. It's steer.
He's crab walking.
Yeah, it's not going to steer looking like that.
So I've seen this happen in real life a couple of times, but most recently in the Toyota GR Cup North America race, in race 2 at Circuit of the Americas I was calling last weekend, there was contact with the points leader as they came around that uphill right-hander at turn 8. The inside driver slipped on the paint, hit him in the right rear, and he drove a car basically looking like this all the way back up to second place in that last race. It was pretty wild to watch. Thing crabbing down the straightaway. Just had the whole rear end knocked sideways. But it was still raceable. This one, though, I think is not going to be as successful.
I don't think that's going to be raceable. And even if he gets the required repairs done, that thing's still going to be sideways. And he doesn't have, he does have a rear bumper. Good for him. He does not have no front bumper, and that is going to be tough to drive. You can probably get away with that in a next-gen car. My wheel was knocked out of whack after 10 laps, and I still got 4th. But Xfinity car is not as lenient.
Won't be as hot.
No, definitely not.
Well, the Area Florida State Builders Pro Series, I think this is caution number 3 at the stage as we work our way towards the 1/3 mark of this race. As James Scioli has been the dominant force in this race, perhaps no one's surprised. He's been the dominant driver in the series standings as well. Here's another look at those coming into the night. Here was the playoff picture. Scioli, 4 wins, and Sogak and Hearn each have 1. Everyone else still winless this season.
And it's looking like we're going to stay at only 3 winners if something changes, but we do have some people who have not won a race this season up there. David Weishart is putting the pressure on the 7, not able to make a pass, but still solid so far, and he's looking like the biggest challenger for Scioli 2 nights in a row. As you look at all those drivers high up in points with no wins. Munsell plus 61 to the cut line, Therian and Beckner with good gaps, and then you get to the guys at or below the cut line who need to get things going. Fambro, Senesac, David Weishart, he's making a charge, but still 18 back.
And Paul Irvin and Casey Lacatas both having issues tonight. Both at 5 points plus to the cutoff line. That could be huge dividends for Bryce Senesac or David Weishart. Both those guys having solid nights. David Weishart could be knocking on the door of a first win this season for himself. It's his own car. James Scioli's been dominating this season.
Well, he's in the right place up front. He's been in the top 5 all night long, and is lingering here if something is to happen to Scioli. And like we talked on Tuesday night, Connor, once you make contact with the wall, you get that Darlington stripe, it just wants to hit it over and over and over again. It's almost like when you get a flat spot, how the tire searches for that flat area. Just like that with the side of the car. For whatever reason, there's something mentally where if you can stay off it for half the race, you're not going to touch it. But if you get into the wall early, it is a miserable night at Darlington.
Definitely a track that gets in your head. Darlington is probably at the top of the list of tracks that can get in your head. But fortunately so far, 40 laps in, not too many have it, but we do have some drivers dropping out because they're getting big ones. Ryan Hartz is the highest runner who has a little bit of a stripe. He's P6. That Kurt Busch car looking to have some damage, but also looks fast, up 20 positions from where he started.
Here we go, coming back to the restart, lap number 40 of 130. Green flag back in the air, another good launch by Scioli. And there's trouble in the background. Crash with a big stack up, and the two's going to get turned across the front of the field.
Muhammad drives into him. That was another, we've seen that a lot this season with the restart stacking up.
Well, we're only 40 laps in, but boys, I said it. This race a season ago had 9 yellows. Wouldn't surprise me if we got a good bit more. And we just saw another one here that these guys trying to get up to speed.
Where does it start? I think the 26?
64. Robertson missed a shift, and it set everything off.
And Dunkelberger kind of got the worst of that.
Muhammad got big damage out of that too. see.
Oh, he gets hit from behind.
Oh,
Dom
Dom DeLeo. Yeah, I thought Muhammad when they're on their own. I apologize, but yeah, Dom DeLeo just did not see it happening.
Probably,
see what he sees.
probably not a lot.
Yeah.
Well, it looked like it was all to the inside, and then right here. Bam. Man,
It's
big hits there.
That was
kind of used him as a battering ram.
Yeah, he kind of just made sure he cleared the track for himself, but Dom obviously thought it was all to the bottom. Muhammad saw the car coming back up. I think it was Greg Mitchell, but that was not the case.
And Mitchell, big hits in this as well.
Bang, right there. 26 got beat around, then Mitchell up the track. Not over yet.
Oh.
Bam.
So with that, looks like a chunk of the field from 18th on back is going to hit pit lane, but we're going to step away for a brief moment. We'll be back with a restart here in just a few. Back live from Darlington Raceway. The track too tough to tame. The lady in black has already claimed some cars tonight. Steve Durham is out. Paul Irvin is out. A few others are many laps down and damaged. Cameron Hurt, Colin Fambro, Garrett Grant, and many, many more. 43 laps into a 130-lap event here tonight. Kyle Heyer, Connor Horn, and Hunter Sleppy joining me. And a couple decent opening runs, Connor, but since then, the cautions have bred some more cautions.
Most definitely. We see it time and time again at Darlington, and we saw it last season as well. I believe Hunter said 9 yellows last season, and I think we're up to 4 now. So just about 86 laps to go once we get this thing back green. Here's hoping that we keep that caution count near the low side and get some green flag running, because lights are on. The track is definitely cooling almost completely down in the racing, and the intensity should pick up at some point, as we still have at least one more pit stop to go.
Unfortunately, we've hit our average for yellows at Darlington, and like I mentioned, there were 9 in season 3, so that really doesn't make it any better. Although the past couple of seasons, the last yellow came with 66 to go, so somewhere around halfway we might see our last yellow and get a good green flag run in. But season 3, there was a yellow with 3 to go, so chance for overtime still looms, but looking to see some green flag racing on this next stint, Kyle.
The laps tick by quickly here when they're under green as the field gets prepped to go racing. Once again, pace car pulls off, but it's a little ways left until they get the restart zone and get back up underway here from Darlington Raceway. Scioli has been leader of all the major laps so far, and he will lead us back to green once again. Green flag back in the air. This time they get through the gears a little better.
Well, clean this time. Robertson gets clear. Weishart clear for second. Side by side, 2x2, as a matter of fact, third on back. Gotta be careful. Munsell getting pinched. Slaughter's looking for the spot. Oh, Cardinal. Anna Sogak hit it hard.
Oh, there's Santo. Oh, look out.
Oh, Chuck Sweeting. And Forrest.
There's still more. That's another yellow.
Yes, it is.
Caution is back out. They almost had it woed down.
I thought they did.
But just sideways enough to bring the yellow out. 10 car was the one that was the most sideways. I think was the one that had the yellow triggered. And the 88 of Anasogak that was in the wall. Yep.
Yeah, he was trying to avoid it, and there was just no room. Run out of room quickly out of turn 2, down to bone back straight away, and Chuck Sweeting had nowhere to go. Spencer Brown just got through it, Forrest Smith did not.
Right there was some contact. The 88 had turned down a little bit, and then the 10 gets squeezed. He had nowhere to go. Braking would have done nothing, and then just pow.
How indeed. Going back straight away, we've seen a lot of bent sheet metal this week as the 88 really hit hard. Chuck Sweeting, he got bounced around himself, and then he thinks he's in the clear. Santo just comes down the track, what he's trying to gather. It just nothing either driver could do there.
Well, and this track is eating cars, and you know it's funny. We were at Dover a couple of weeks ago, and that place is known for being the monster. But tonight, someone's having a feast. I don't know if it's the lady in black, but Sweeting's out, Durham's out, and many are 5 laps down or more.
I was just about to bring that up. That they call Dover the Monster Mile. The lady in black is definitely having a feast tonight. We're not even halfway through.
Yeah, the Monster 1.33 mile
Yes.
wouldn't work well.
Or should we say monstrous?
Monstrous mile, yes.
Is that the right term?
I would,
actually, honestly never heard it, but it does make sense.
yeah, again,
Monstressa.
Matthew Cochran got like his 3rd lucky dog, by the way.
hey,
I don't know what his issue was,
well,
but
take advantage of it while you can and get those laps back. As Hunter mentioned, it's likely that we'll get to a certain stage and get a lot more green flag running. As it stands, everyone from 27th on down, save for 3 or 4 cars that are, I mean, Fambro and Mason Kane are 21 laps down and still running because they know if they keep running, they're going to get at least 3 or 4 spots and likely more for the drivers that get some damage and kind of throw in the towel. So that's what keeps those way many lap down cars running. Otherwise, only 25 cars on the lead lap after starting with 35.
yeah, after starting with 35, we are down a few. Yes, Paul Irvin, he had separate issues, but he's done. Steve Durham's actually still in his car, so apparently he intends to run that car more tonight, which I'd be shocked to see happen, but he is looking to get in. But I believe right now the only car that is out is for sure Paul Irvin, as everyone else is at least still in the session, but a lot of drivers with, as we've been talking about, a lot of damage to repair.
Well, I'm going through looking at the season so far for the Pro Series, and the most yellows in a race was at Iowa with 10 cautions, and we're already halfway through that. Tonight we've just reached our 5th yellow, and again, we're not halfway yet, but still hoping that we'll see some green flag racing. Maybe on this next stint, Kyle. I think this one's the one.
Yeah, I hope so. And their races seem to take one of 2 trajectories when they're going to have a bunch of yellows. It's either they happen all at the beginning and then you slowly, as you lose cars, it kind of cleans up to the point of green all the way to the end. Or you get a race that's relatively green and then you get one of those late race yellows that bunches everyone back up and then they just can't stop running into each other for 10 laps until the checkers. I think we're kind of on that first trajectory. Darlington doesn't seem to be a place where late race yellows are all that popular. It seems like once you get green, you just go green for a while.
Well, they're not that apparent because no one really wants to have a late race restart at Darlington. There's not a lot of room to begin with. And when you get a bunch of aggressive drivers on a late race, NASCAR restart, green, white, checker, whatever it would be, you know chaos is coming. So everyone wants to keep it straight because you do not want to have to go 2-3 wide through these corners at Darlington. There's no room for it. You know you're probably going to be one of the many drivers who get caught up in a crash, and we saw that last season with the last lap crash, which I forget who it was who got put in the wall from second. It might have been Senesac, but I don't know if I'm correct on that, and it created a whole mess. I think the 28 was on his lid after it was all said and done. That could very easily happen. That's why a lot of people don't want late race yellows here, especially.
Well, pace car pulls off, and we'll be working lap number 50 this time through, 50 of 130. And Scioli continues to tick away laps out front while the rest of the field scrambles behind to avoid the walls and avoid each other. Green flag back in the air. Oh, big slide by John Furness, turns left on corner exit, car on the wall in the background. It's the 95 of Spencer Brown who bails to the apron. That was a big enough hit for to have him run for home with the tail between his legs.
Yeah, that was a huge hit. He'll just, I assume, bring it down the pit road. Yes, he does. I think he should be good to continue, but we'll see what he chooses to do as, once again, once we do get a one lap under our belts, we get single file pretty quickly as, in fact, it's almost completely single file all the way up to the leader.
Good sight to see for those, especially Scioli, 0.3 of a second lead over to 33 of Weishart. But there's Tom Bourne in the 16, still knocking on the door of the top 10, trying to mount a charge back inside.
And he narrowly avoided a big incident in the first yellow of the night. So he's kind of on a recovery drive, was as low as 19th at one stage in this race. Is almost as high as he's been all night. 9th place was the highest he got, as he rides in 11th at the moment. Up front, David Weishart continues to try to run down James Scioli, and who really knows what the real pace of that 7 is. I don't know if he's unlocked or uncorked the whole thing yet, Connor, but his 33 looks every bit as quick.
Yeah, I don't think the 7's showing much yet, but who knows what Weishart's really showing. We really won't know until we get near the end of a race. If we get there under green flag conditions, Seidenfaden's in the wall in 1, but he keeps it straight. But Weishart continuing to just keep it nice and smooth, just making sure James Scioli knows that he is there and with him and following him at every moment.
Forrest Smith, boy, he's had quite an interesting night. But he's still inside the top 20, surprisingly. 19th on the track, still keeping it competitive, still has speed underneath that 81. And Nick Silver also near in the top 10. He's had a couple of big moments tonight as well. You can see the back of the car is caved in a little bit.
Whoa, slide out of turn 2.
Oh, wow. Seidenfaden again, out of control this run so far. Forrest Smith avoids.
Have a look.
Like Chris sideways, sheesh.
You'll be here, well, not all week. You'll be back Monday, probably.
Right there.
No, not next week.
Chased it all the way down the 8 lanes of runoff on the inside lane. And he'll carry on in 19th place. But that'll wake you up, guys. That'll make sure you're up on your counter steer.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit late. You got to make sure you are on your toes to make that save. And Chris definitely did a good job. Or I guess Chris sideways is happy that he made that save. And
sideways and fighting.
If you're not going down fighting, are you really racing car driver?
You ain't flipping, you ain't trying.
That was Furness last season. Spencer Brown back on track. Scioli, Weishart has reeled him in just a little bit. Not enough to warrant an attempt at a pass, but he's making sure he fills the mirrors of the 7.
Definitely focused, Hunter. He's got the tongue hanging out. He's keeping him within a half a second. He's done that on pretty much every run, even where Scioli was able to get away for a couple laps. The 33 is running back down. We have not seen enough strength for him to go up and pass him just yet, but he is closing.
Ooh, he might have run here.
Knocking on the door, gonna look low. The signal to the 7, hey, even though you are my driver, I'm still trying to win. I haven't won a race all year. And he's still trying to move up in points to have a shot at making the postseason. And he's got to do it quick because not only is he catching the 7, Brad Slaughter, the 9, has also reeled in a couple of tenths over the past couple laps.
And so close to that outside wall in turns 1 and 2. Up onto the back straightaway, Justin Munsell, Travis Beckner, Alex Weaver, Senesac and Therian wrap up your top 10. And behind them, the 8 and the 46 battling for 12th place.
Gak Joan in the bottom of the corner right now. He is 12th. He's moved up about 6 spots. A nice quiet run. Austin Gak Jones had a lot of those quiet runs so far this year, and it's put in a decent point spot. He battles Nick Silver in the 1. Tough to do that. Silver forces the issue. He'll get on by. Gak Joan kind of concedes there, as looks like Hartz is getting a little bit further away from John Furness, and a little bit of lap traffic for Scioli to deal with.
Ooh, that's very dicey in 3 and 4, but the 2 drivers out front will go on by, so will Brad Slaughter Jr. As we hit lap number 60, lap 65 is our halfway point here.
Kane gets to the apron. I was making sure he got slowed down in the one to go to the apron. He does, as that's all the lap traffic we'll see for a while. That 33 is looking strong out of the corners right now. He just doesn't have enough to get to the left rear of Scioli. I think what he really needs to work on, Hunter, is he's got to get to the bumper, enter into quarter, maybe loosen up that 7 just a tiny bit so he can have a look to the inside.
Here we see the eyes of Casey Lacatas focused and dialed in. And a lot of these guys outside the top 10, mainly inside the top 15, they've had up and down nights. Same can be said for Casey Lacatas, and he needs every bit of the good run that he can get, especially after the race he's had. Paul Irvin, they both entered +5 to the cutoff. Irvin is out, so this is going to be a big point stay for Lacatas if he can stay in it and maybe salvage a top 10 out of this.
Brian Swan getting by Ed Robertson in the background, but up front, basically Weishart is following in Scioli's tire tracks, and he's not letting him get away. And I think this just shows the relative strength of that number 33, Connor. As far as fast laps goes, Scioli is the fastest, Brad Slaughter Jr. second quick on the racetrack, and Weishart third quick, but it's all within about the same couple hundredths of a second.
The only person who is matching the top two's times right now is, I believe, John Furness, who is stuck behind Ryan Hartz. I wouldn't say stuck, he hasn't had a look yet, but the 28 looks fast. He just needs to get the track position. Once again, he qualified pretty far down, not as far as the 3 did, but he's up 10 positions from his 15th place starting position, and Weishart got a big run out of 2. I don't know if Scioli messed up or Weishart got on the throttle a little bit harder, trying to hunt the 7 down here as he looks to the bottom.
Well, we might have to wait because they're catching Michael Muhammad, a lap car, but they're starting to gap themselves out from Slaughter. Slaughter's losing a couple of tenths, and as soon as I say that, Muhammad pulls down and out of the way. But 33 biding his time, doesn't want to make the move just yet, but out of turn 2, that 33 is quick.
He's leaving a little bit more margin on the exits than the 7 as well. The 7, the rear quarter panel is almost touching the wall out of every corner. And Weishart is steering up underneath him just a little bit, so he's not getting quite as close to the fence, even with that aerodynamic push that you get from following the car ahead. So Weishart's in a good spot right now. The car looks like it's handling well. It's just a matter of getting by and making the pass. Is the fight for 4th place picking up a little bit?
Yeah, Ryan Hartz, I don't know if the damage is hurting him or he's just saving the tires for a run late in the run, but Brad Slaughter Jr. in 3rd is definitely pulled away from him by about the 2nd. Hartz holds Furness, Justin Munsell, Travis Beckner in a line here. 4 cars under a blanket. Hartz is trying to keep them all at bay.
Doing a good job for the moment. Beckner a little sideways there, off of 4. As I say, Beckner, the previous time by, ran a lap that was about as quick, if not a little bit quicker than the leader. So he's definitely got some speed, but again, he's behind Munsell, Furness, and Hartz. Really nowhere to go.
Yeah, another driver, I think, was my pick to win because this racetrack will reward you for being aggressive, but within the boundaries of the walls, obviously. If you can be brave, you can be fast, but if you're, I guess, the Ross Chastain kind of aggressive, you'll end up in the fence, as we saw. But Scioli does some lap traffic, still unable to shake David Weishart. These two are just, the DWR car is just very well sorted, very well driven right now, and no one's able to really touch them, even on these slightly longer runs.
Well, what about these lap cars?
Well, hopefully he doesn't touch them. Tom Bourne just got by Shane Theory, and that is for the 10th position as Bourne continues to climb back up as they get by Andrew Santo. The leaders do with no issue in the turn 1. Mason Kane gives way once again. Greg Mitchell up the road, not too much further as the 33 lost some ground there.
That did lose a little bit, but it'll happen whenever you have lap traffic in. I think you can pull that, but he didn't lose too much, but it seems like a sizable gap considering how close he's been to the 7 the last 10 laps or so.
Dom DeLeo into pit lane, by the way, and he's been in there now for about 45 seconds, so might be some damage, might have been a contact with the wall, but either way, the 22 not looking good at this stage.
Yeah, he had damage. He had been, I believe, lapped, and, well, actually, he was getting ready to be lapped, and he decided to just bring it in. Could be him calling it a night. We will see. But once again, this gap not getting slower, not getting tighter yet. Weishart loses a 10th last time by, as they both gapped Brad Slaughter. as he's still got a gap on Ryan Hartz, although that gap is actually coming down as Furness got really close to Santo and it gave Munsell a run, but that right now is Austin Gaccione and Ryan Swan.
Huh. Swan will blink and take the position away. Ed Robertson just in awe at what he just saw.
Oh, Santo just slammed the wall on the outside of Beckner, but he keeps it straight. That was a wild hit.
Here's what it looked like out of turn number 2. Oh, yeah. Just miscalculated. You see the steering wheel even jerk out of his hands with how hard he hit there, but did keep the car straight to his credit, and that thing is looking pretty sick.
And you lose the because he's lost both bumpers. I'm wondering if you can lose both doors.
Well, they
should be able to.
If he's going to lose doors, if anyone's going to lose doors, it'll be him. He's pounded the wall pretty hard a couple of times. And with all that, Scioli has put another couple tenths of a second on David Weishart. The gap is now half a second. Brad Slaughter Jr. third, then Hartz, Furness fourth and fifth, then Munsell, Beckner, Weaver, Senesac, and Tom Bourne. One of my favorite throwbacks tonight in that back in the Post-it note and 3M 16 car.
Yeah, it is a beautiful one for sure. I believe the National Guard was on that 16.
Oh, right. That's
National
awesome.
Guard, Post-it. He had a lot of sponsors back then. But yeah, definitely one of the best in show. No official competition this season, but we could definitely still point out our favorites. And I think that's all one of our favorites for sure.
I'd have to say that. Yeah, that's one of my favorites as well. Also like the 09 is Senesac. That brings back some nostalgia.
Oh, he turned him! No, no!
Destroyed the front end of Newman's car.
I just remember being upset that Junior didn't win.
Brad Keselowski won this race.
Yeah, that was. Who knew that? I didn't know who the heck he was. I thought that would be his only win. As a kid, I thought that would be his only win. Then, oh, he's at Penske. Oh, he's winning races. Oh, he's a champion. Yeah, it just goes from there.
Certainly Justin Munsell's car gets best in show as well.
One of the many best in show. Once again, not a paint scheme you can miss.
I don't even know how they made
is my
this.
favorite.
I don't even know how they made this paint scheme. That without the actual art flat, this would be a very tedious car to recreate.
Simrap Market.
I suppose. Is that a Simrad Market scheme?
Might be.
I
think there's a template of it on there.
Wow. I'll save you some time. Hey guys, by the way, we've had a lot of green flag laps. We're taking them away pretty quick. Let's also keep in mind that we've been on track for 45 laps for Scioli and Weishart. Let's start thinking about pit stops here as we're now about 55 to the end. So does that mean that we're about 5 laps away from coming down pit lane, Hunter?
Maybe for tires. Fuel, they might have been able to save a little bit with all the yellows that we've been having. So I'd say maybe 10 laps they come in and pit. At most, I don't see them getting past lap 90.
We're clicking away laps pretty quickly, and with that comes the strategy. I would only mention the 5 laps from now because that would be halfway from when they last pit to the end. So that would be about lap number 80 or so. And that would put them at 50 laps left. But as you pointed out, Hunter, they'll probably wait a little longer than that. Connor, Scioli's got a 1 second advantage. Does anybody touch this number 7 tonight?
Only if they pull off the right strategy. I think the only way anyone clears James Scioli is on pit strategy right now, because as you can see, he's flexing his long run muscle right now. He's about, he had been about a 10th per lap faster than the 33 the last few times by. That's why that gap is up to over 1 second as he navigates around the Crown Royal throwback of Jordan Martin. But yeah, I think you're going to have to short pit the 7 if you want to get in front of him. And even then, a 1 second gap, and the times from their fastest lap, I think the times are down maybe close to 2 seconds at this point. So if you're getting ready to pit, if you're David Weishart, you got to make sure you're in before Scioli to give yourself a chance.
It's about 1.5 seconds. It's getting to 2 seconds, though.
Casey Lagatas has some company behind him in the form of Ed Robertson. Casey's tight out of turn 2 and just lifts the 64 on by there.
Or if he's got his camera on his eyes just so we can't see the curse words he's saying. He's trying to keep it PG for us, I think.
Casey.
There are lip readers out there.
Casey came to Chicago one time.
Whoa! What is Tom Bourne doing? Hello, Tom Bourne was all the way on the inside wall.
He really dropped off.
He had a moment.
Oh, he
he
definitely,
did.
I think, wow.
Big save there out of 4 that time. I was going to mention Casey Lakatos came to Chicago one time to buy a GPU from me, and he brought me some Wisconsin Kringle. And if you don't know what Wisconsin Kringle is, your life is not as good as it could be. It is a very sweet treat, and it's great refrigerated. It's great warmed up. Just a big old pastry, and he brought me many types of them, and they are very large and they are very delicious. And I miss Wisconsin Kringle.
I thought that was a slang word for cheese.
They got that too. That's what I was going to do on my birthday, guys. When I got sick on my birthday as we watched this battle for third. I was going to drive up to Wisconsin because it's like 45 minutes away, get myself some Spotted Cow beer and some Wisconsin cheese and some cheese curds, and then I got sick and couldn't go, and I still have not yet done that. And Saturday we've got a little work function going on, and then Sunday I'm going to the Indy 500, so that'll have to wait again.
I didn't know you're going to Indy 500. That's
yeah.
sick.
My buddy DJ Clark, who is a longtime Hoosier, invited me to go with him. He's my co-commentator over at SRO America. Here comes the 3 of Ryan Hartz to the bottom of Brad Slaughter Jr. This is a battle for third.
Getting really tight. I think Hartz has the best long-run car besides the 7. He's showing it right now. He chased down Slaughter, but can't get by. It's hard to pass here, and the 9's not going to let him go because he knows we're getting close to pit stops. You don't want to lose that spot now as Hartz almost lays the bumper to him.
Very close there, and 28 of Furnace there, you see on the right, his nose is creeping in. He's encouraging this battle. He wants us to continue because he's catching 3rd and 4th, and Justin Munsell running in 6th. He can see this battle as well, encouraging it to continue. And Michael Mohammed on the bottom, blinking in and out, almost hindered that battle.
Down the front straightaway here, lap 83, guys. And like I said, how fast do these laps tick away? Green to the end from here is 25 minutes when we get down to this stage. This is where I consider the race almost done in the final 20 minutes or so, Connor.
I'm going to see if Weishart responds here. He just hit the wall in 1 and 2. Not much damage, but look at the time he's lost now. It's almost up to 2 seconds now after it was still at 1.2, as that was a pretty sizable hit. But he's keeping cool, maybe a little bit frustrated, but still definitely in control of the runner-up spot right now as Brad Slaughter Jr. continues in 3rd. He's gapped Hartz back, and just quick to note, Steve Durham did get back on track. That one car is somehow running.
Wow.
Right with Furnace, and if these guys do have to make green flag pit stops, it's going to be tricky getting on the pit road, especially being on these tires for over 50 laps, in some cases maybe 60 laps, depends on how long they stretch it. And you don't want to slide over your box, especially at a track like this where mistakes are very minimal. Like, you can't make a mistake at all. You make a mistake, you're done. Especially on pit road, sliding in your box is going to cost valuable time on the pit road and on the track. Going to cost you some positions.
I'm expecting pit stops pretty soon, guys, because, again, we've run 55 laps on these tires. Granted, a lot of that was under yellow, but we only have 45 laps to go. If you want to spread out the good of your tires over the longest possible run, you're going to come soon to pit lane. Here comes the 46 and Nick Silver to pit lane. Justin Munsell's coming to pit lane. And here comes the parade down pit road for the final time tonight if we stay green.
Just really surprised Weishart, when he bounced off the wall, he did not respond. His times have dropped well off Scioli's 1 to 2 tenths per lap, and he's even dropping back to Brad Slaughter Jr., who he got away from. And now, as we get more drivers on new tires passing you guys, as an old tire runner, you start to think you really need to respond as soon as possible. Alex Weaver is going to be the next one down. Everyone else in the top 5 stays out once again. Hardest pit lane to get to, besides maybe Dover, is Charles Beckner also responds. Tom Bourne in as well.
Oh, whoa. Santo in the wall just in front of our leader, Scioli. That was a close one.
Yeah, if you're Scioli, you'd probably pit now to avoid that. But you don't want to pit too early, but he is going to come.
Yeah, here he comes down to pit lane this time through. 87 laps complete of 130. We're winding it down to the last 40 or so laps. And Weishart's going to stay out. And all this time tonight, working through lap traffic, he has yet to lead a lap until now.
Wow, look at this side by side. Furnace and Hartz. I'd love to get a look at that. John Furnace and Ryan Hartz had 2 completely separate lanes down in the pit road. They took 2 completely different grooves, and they ended up side by side. That was wild to watch.
Oh boy. Almost came together there on the pit road entry.
That would have been a mess.
Weishart staying out longer, trying the overcut, guys. What do we think about that?
He's trying to catch a yellow. I think it's also not a bad strategy. You get fresh tires to the end of this race, and at a track like Darlington, it's pretty darn important, but you're going to be giving up a lot of time doing this, so you got to be ready to give up that time.
I mean, the tires will be fresher, but at what cost? The track position can't really take that for granted, as it's going to work by Santo. Again, he might be coming next time by?
Oh, I thought he was coming this time by, but he didn't. But look at the lap times, guys. Basically 3 seconds slower. That's an enormous gap. So if you can play this card right, you're going to have so much advantage at the end of the race. The challenge is this track long enough? I've always seen the strategy work best at the big 2-mile tracks like Fontana or Michigan. I've never really seen it work at these shorter racetracks where you make a lot of revolutions, because you need very long, slow laps, not these quick laps like this. He's going to peel off pit lane, but he's going to lose a lot of track position, and the hope is that you make it all back on speed, but with only 40 laps to go, that's only 20 minutes worth of driving.
Yeah, I don't think it was the right move to just go a little bit longer. I think that's going to lose him more than if he went even further. I think if he went a little further, he had a better chance on even fresher tires than everyone else around him, but he decided he didn't want to give up that much time, which even at that point I can't blame him, as he will come down the pit lane. Not too many others left. Shane Thier and Case Lakatos almost put the 28 into a fence trying to get out of their way.
Scioli going to go around the outside of Steve Durham, and there is Lakatos running in second. Would like to see he would like to see a 38 pit so he can stay out, maybe lead them for a bonus point.
I think he would like a yellow flag more than anything.
But what do we say about the? Here's Weishart pulling back on the racetrack, though. By the way, guys, as Scioli is into turn number 3 now, and there's Weishart an entire straightaway back. But what do we say about the way this race was going to pan out? A lot of yellows early, then it cleans up and goes green to the end. Would we expect a yellow at the end? Unless we get one in this pit stop transition period where all the speeds are wildly different, I'd say not likely.
Whoa.
Yeah, we had it happen last night, but there was always potential for a yellow at Darlington, even when it does get spread out. So hard to drive, easy to lose focus if you're kind of riding and not really racing anyone. Once again, it's about racing the racetrack, and if you lose focus of the racetrack, you lose focus of your driving. It's very easy to make a mistake, and that could be where the yellow comes from. If we don't get one with the varying speeds, that would be where it happens, as 38 continues another lap.
Last season, we did have a yellow with 3 to go, and that put us in a green-white checkered scenario. So, wouldn't count that out yet, as Lakatos exits his pit box. Now going to rejoin the racetrack, but...
Sorry, Ed Robertson and Steve Durham made contact. Sorry about that.
So 35 laps to go next time by. 36 laps to go, I should say. And Scioli's going to be leading Ryan Hartz, who is on 1 lap fresher tires by about 3.2 seconds. David Weishart is going to be a long ways back, about 7 or 8 seconds, but with 4 lap fresher tires than Scioli. That's not probably enough, as you mentioned, Connor, but if he waited longer, then he wouldn't have enough laps to use the tires, and that's the conundrum here. This will work if you have a full run to the end, but I don't think they were quite doing a full fuel load.
Yeah, not quite full on fuel, especially looking at how far Therian's gone here. What is this? He hit around 30. Oh, Ryan Swan just put Andrew Santo on the wall in turn 3. They're going to keep it straight. They were jawing back and forth down the back, and they finally made contact.
Well,
oh, that was a pretty sizable hit here, guys.
I think Ryan Swan figured Santo should have given him the bottom, but Santo was very clearly giving him the top. I'm not sure what. They're still side by side in 2.
Oh,
Santo's in the wall again.
Oh no! Oh, this is not looking good.
There's a trouble behind him.
Fambro saved it. 18. That was a save right there. He's actually pitting. I don't know if he's calling it a night or what, but he almost wrecked himself.
Is it a full moon?
No moon, actually. Like it is every iRacing night.
Every right night at Darlington, that's for sure. I'm not sure what Ryan Swan wanted there, to be honest.
That's the iRacing paradox. It's always a full moon, but there's never a moon.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. But, I just realized that. You're absolutely right. Oop, look out, that's Cochran. But yeah, I'm not sure what Ryan Swan wanted. I think Santo was very clearly giving him the outside lane, and Ryan Swan just didn't want to really take it.
Or did they have a run-in earlier on and maybe he's a little upset at that? I don't know.
Well, the 10 lost his bumper somehow.
He lost it a long time ago, I think, in one of those earlier cautions. We're going to be 3 wide for a moment, the 9 in the middle of it all. That got a little dicey as the 38 peels off to finally hit pit lane, which is going to complete this sequence. Everyone else, other than Michael Muhammad, who is laps down, has made their pit stop. That will turn the lead over to Skyly with just over 30 laps to go. And he's actually putting distance on Ryan Hartz right now. He put 4/10 on him last time by.
Hartz is in a battle, so he doesn't have clean track to really chase after Skyoli as the one pulls down to let them by. Hartz and Justin Munsell have been battling for what would be the second position for the last number of laps. Some damage on the front of the 6, but all good. Currently in a top 3 position as the 33 is at the back of this pack with a little bit fresher tires and closer to these guys at this point than I would have expected to be, as here goes Munsell to the bottom.
Yeah, I was going to say that his strategy did not work out, Weishart's. It did not work out unless he gets back to second. Whoa, Munsell nearly making contact with Hartz there in the middle of 3 and 4. He's going to go low and avoid that carnage and try to regroup and try to find another way around the 3.
I don't know how his heart rate didn't look like it went up at all in that big moment there. And you know what? That's honestly great because if you panic here, you're going to end up in a much worse situation. See John Furness tracking him down, Alex Weaver in the 62. I haven't really talked a lot about the 62 car tonight. He has had a really good, consistent evening in that 62 Chevrolet, but David Weishart's tracking them all down. And Weishart, all he has to do is pass these 4 cars to be back where he was, guys, but he's many seconds behind Skyoli still. He has gained about 2 seconds back on Skyoli, but by the time he dispatches these 4, he's not going to have enough tire left or time left to get back to that 7, I guess.
I wouldn't think so. At that point, once he uses his tires to get by these 4 other drivers, and that's if he even does that. But if he does, tires are probably going to be equaled out. Oh, and Weaver, we were just talking about them.
Whoa,
Beckner,
oh my goodness. What did Beckner doing?
He didn't know where the 62 was going to go, and he had to weave to make sure he went the right way. What a save by both of them.
Oh, man.
That was wicked.
That was wicked.
Another drive into his door.
And that actually cost David Weishart some time, guys, half a second.
Yeah, that's not going to help his tires either, having to do that. That was almost catastrophe, but luckily it wasn't, and it's broken up this pack at least a little bit. Munsell's in the wall as Furness takes a look. Ooh, might have hit him. Ooh, that's going to get tight.
Look, he is unfazed in that driver's seat, Justin Munsell is. He's got the 28 on his bumper, and we're looking at it right now. He's going to head into 3. Furness going to stay close in tow with Munsell, but the focus on the 6 car, he's not only trying to keep 3rd, he's still trying to put pressure on the 3 of Hartz, not trying to let him go just yet.
Got his focus gum in the mouth, chewing down into turn number 3, or this is turn 1 rather.
Used to be turn 3.
Oh. Lightest little scrape there on the wall. The 28, good run here out of turn 2.
Uh-oh, here comes Weishart. He's coming back.
He's got a ways to go. He was 4/10 faster last time by, so he should be there in a little while. Munsell up the racetrack. 28's giving him dirty air. Not dirty air, he's taking air off the spoiler of Munsell, but 6 is able to get a good exit.
Yeah, these 3 are really under a blanket. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then 5th, David Weishart still reeling in. And, oh, there's Santo up the road. Gonna have to look out for him. Beckner, you see, all the way back as Furness now looks slow on Munsell for the 3rd spot, heading into 3.
This is really tight and dicey here.
Oh, Santo spinning right in front of him. He saved it. See if he gets out of the way. That's gotta be careful.
Yeah, he's gonna bail. Good call there. And Furness completes the pass on Munsell, and the 10 almost tagged the 33 of Weishart, who is on a mission late in the race here to get some spots back.
Oh, sorry. Man, that was really too close for comfort.
You need to take a mouthful whatever Munsell's got. Calm down.
I don't have gum under me. it's downstairs somewhere, but 33's definitely looking like he's fast. He should. He's got the tire advantage, and he's under Munsell now. And this should probably be job done. Munsell does not give in, though. He's not going to go down without a fight as he holds off the 33. Big wiggle.
And this was probably the critical mistake, Hunter, was David Weishart pulling the strategy where you need track position, where passing is so difficult. He's got pace, but you just can't use it.
Yeah, and when you're stuck behind, Munsell, Furness, Hart's trying to find different ways around him, your tires are wearing more and more as you're trying to get more aggressive with possibly moving them out of the way, which I don't think you'll do that.
Oh, Beckner just ran into the back of Santo.
Oh my God, what is Santo doing?
He's not keeping a line, that's for sure, but I almost have to see that again. It almost looked like Beckner just...
You just run in the back of him? Might have.
We'll see. We'll see who's at fault.
Nonetheless, this 10 car's been all over the place tonight.
Yeah, I think Beckner just kind of miscalculated there, looked like.
I think he got away with it. I don't see much damage on him. So, fortunate there, because that was a big misjudgment as the battle for fourth still continues. But I think David Weishart's reaching that wall, and the wall is not of tire wear, it's the wall of Justin Munsell.
And second place still under fire, Hartz and Furness.
Definitely under fire. I think Furness is a little faster than the 3 at this point. Here comes the 33 under the 6, as he's going to get a good run into 3. Munsell up the track. He has nothing to defend with this time, I don't think.
Got it, finally.
It's going to go to Weishart. Now he has his eyes set on Hartz and Furness, and a chance to talk to us after the race. All the podium drivers get to talk to us after this event with less than 20 laps to go. Still Scioli leading, but battle has not died down yet inside the top 5.
20 laps to go for Weishart to get back to where he was running, and that's always the critical factor when you pull this strategy. Was he going to beat Scioli with it? Maybe not, but you don't want to make a strategy that puts you worse off than you were. So if he gets back to second, it really wasn't much of a loss, but if he stays fourth or even third, it was a step back from where he would have been. So I think Weishart has got his eyes focused on the 2 ahead of him, and they're still locked in this fight. I've heard it described, Connor, that if you've got 2 drivers that are in a fight, sometimes they can forget about a third approaching. Here comes Furness to the bottom.
I remember the one of the maybe 3 good moments of F1 last year where Lewis Hamilton made that 3 wide pass. That 2 drivers that were battling just forgot about him, and he took advantage very briefly. So it's definitely could be the same principle here. You got 2 drivers at Darlington who butt heads and go side by side and start beating and bagging and all that. It could definitely bring a 3rd driver into the fray. Most recently, I think, 3 years ago at this point, Hamlin and Chastain. They battled, they got into it. Who's there to pick up the scraps? Brandon Jones.
Yes. And now, well, they're catching the 95 of Spencer Brown, although I don't think he'll be an issue. He'll pull off to the side here. Well, maybe. He's flirting with it.
He's thinking about it.
I think he's off the pace enough that he won't mind pulling out of the way, but he's kind of in a hard spot now. The 3, the 28, and the 33 all closing in, and up onto the back straightaway. He's got to dive out of the way now. Here he will.
I think he didn't. I don't think he thought they were close enough, but definitely got dicey. But he did the right thing. He did it in time as Hartz goes to the bottom. Furness tries to top, and he's going to leave the door open to David Weishart, who almost got there to fill that gap on the bottom.
Weishart probably would have encouraged him to stay in front of him down the straightaway because he closed in a good bit. Might have scraped the wall. Someone scraped the wall heading into the turn. Might have been Weishart, but he is reeled in the 28 and the 3. Look away, Falcons fans. You cannot escape it.
Oh, my God. There's a mess in turn 1. Senesac slaughtered. They're getting by Santo. This is an absolute mess. Santo bounces off it again. That was almost another 4-wide moment, just like we saw Tuesday.
Yeah, we did see 4 wide here on Tuesday, and while there was some beating and banging with it, we didn't end up crashing because of it, which was impressive in its own right.
But they got our fair share of close racing tonight, but nothing like what that was. And that was also caused by, varying strategies as we saw on Tuesday night. Oh, he's got to run to the bumper, Hunter.
Had a run. He's going to wait until, well, I was going to say wait till the straightaway, but not going to be there. So they head off turn 4.
All the while, this is happening 5 seconds behind James Scioli. He's in some fairly heavy traffic right now, but just there's no pressure. He's able to pick and choose when and where he wants to place his car. He has been absolutely untouchable tonight. And here comes that 33 with a big old run on the 28, but again, can't get overlap.
Doesn't have enough to work with right now. I think that the evening out of the tires has happened at this point. He does still have a little bit fresher, but it's not enough to really take advantage where he can get to the inside of someone going into a corner. So he's really going to struggle to make this pass to the end, I think.
Boy, here comes the 33. Oh, it looked like he was about to clip the bumper of Furnace, but this is allowing the 3 of Hearts with a little breathing room to try and minimize the gap between himself and Skyler, although he's going to need a little more than these next 14 laps going to green. Might going to need a caution, but Weishart, here he is looking low. Whoa! Scraped the wall coming out of 4. These two not giving up yet for the podium spot.
Yeah, I think he's feeling the pressure as the laps begin to wind down. Running out of opportunities. And once you pick off the 28, you still have one more to go to get back to where you were. That's Ryan Hartz in the number 3. Started 26th tonight, Connor. He has had an exceptional race.
Yeah, you think what could have been if he qualified, maybe he gives a fight to Scioli a little bit better than David Weishart, maybe not, but either way, solid drive for that Kurt Busch throwback. No rage yet on the radio, but still 12 laps of racing to go, so you never know what could happen as Ryan Swan lets the battle for third go on untouched for the time being, as Weishart actually got that position away. I completely missed it.
Yeah, we looked away from him for 1 second, and then they swapped positions finally, so give Weishart third place on a run out of turn 4. And now it's Scioli, Hartz, Weishart, Furnace, and Munsell, your top 5.
Things have really spread out at this point for the most part. Andrew Santo is next in line to be passed again by Scioli, so have to look at that. Matthew Bell, his most recent driver to go a lap down, at least 14 of the drivers left in tonight's race on the lead lap. Licatis passed half the field from where he started, 28th to 14th. Solid drive, decent points after, I believe he was one of the late pitters, but either way, solid drive.
Yeah, it's like 107 laps. It's about to be 108 for Scioli. The driver led the most laps and won this race at Darlington was Alan Elwood, and he led 116. So if this goes green to the end, Scioli's going to have that in the bag.
In the Rick's Hot Sauce vehicle of all things. Race fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings there. It's distracted because on the timing screen we saw this scrap kicking off. 0-9 to Senesac. Robertson, that's tight 3 wide.
Man.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I think Slaughter was trying to let him by, but they put the 38 in a bad spot, but they made it through. Senesac really struggling off of 4. Here comes Ed Robertson for position. Oof. Man, that was wild. Senesac's really struggling pace-wise, and now Brad Slaughter Jr., he's just letting him by. I don't know if Slaughter must have had a penalty. We completely missed that, but he's a lap down.
Woo! And sideways.
His last pit stop, 55 seconds, so that about in line with having a pit stop, a stop and hold for the speed violation or something similar. A little bit of a battle here between Robertson and Bryce Senesac that is not over yet. And they're running out of laps to decide it.
Actually, I thought I remembered that from his pit entrance. He hit that orange cone on entrance, and that's a penalty on iRacing at Darlington only, so that really bit him, and it's thrown away a good run. Still 18th, but could have been a lot better as this battle still running out of time for some of these battles to sort themselves out, but they're still solid battles.
A very solid battle right here for Nick Silver in the 46, looking to make up one more position, and Alex Weaver watching from behind in close distance.
Yeah, this is going to get interesting before it doesn't. Beckner, Silver, and Weaver on top of each other. Here comes that 46 to the bottom, the Tim Flock livery. 2 cars of a similar era side by side into turn 3.
Silver washed up, forced Beckner up, but Beckner gets away with it and gets a good run to go with it, so he'll clear the 46 back. Max Weaver's just looking to take advantage if he can at any point.
Trying to bide his time as 6th, 7th, and 8th are up for grabs within very very close distance. Beckner trying to create a little distance and drive away from Silver.
A good battle formulating here, and they're going to have 5 laps left to decide it as Scioli gets the 5 to go, and the number 7. He's been out front for well over 100 laps now. But looks like Beckner's struggling just a little bit. He's the slowest of this group. And again, Alex Weaver, we saw his big moment a little while ago out of turn 4, but he has had still a pretty solid night, finishing kind of right around the middle of his highest and lowest positions. Here goes that 46 to the bottom of the 27, this time into 3. But Beckner has used that outside lane, Connor, and throttled up a little sooner.
It's almost like he's leaving something in the tank just to defend at a top line. I think he knows 46 is aggressive, and Beckner is aggressive too, know that for sure, but it seems like he's just keeping just enough distance to the point where Silver cannot clear into a corner, and Beckner's able to just use the tire advantage he has to get off the corners a little bit better, especially out of turn 4.
I say he's trying to force him to drive it into the wall. 46 of Silver is trying to do that to Beckner.
Oh, sideways, that 27 is hunting up the hill. The right rear of that thing sticking way further out than the right front. 46 and 62, they're beginning to tussle amongst themselves here. All the while, James Scioli navigates by himself, 6 seconds clear of the field, Connor, and this is 2 laps to go for the number 7.
What can you say? We thought Tuesday night was dominant, and I think he's put it to a whole new level tonight. It's a 6-second gap to second place Ryan Hartz. Not to mention only 14 drivers on the lead lap as Steve Durham lets him by. This is definitely a season to remember so far for Scioli, and no one has touched him as that battle subsides for 6th for the time being.
Well, subsides for now. They're going to have another lap to use their fenders if they want to, but white flag's out and Scioli's taking it.
James Scioli, the number 7, on top of the standings this season by not an insignificant margin. 4 wins on the season. More than anybody else, there's only 2 other drivers that can lay claim to a victory this season. The lady in black, the track too tough to tame, was too tough to tame for everyone else except the number 7. He is having the season of his career out of turn number 4. James Scioli, not a stripe on the car, comes across, wins number 5 of the season in the area of Florida State Builders Pro Series. James Scioli wins at Darlington. Hartz, Weishart second, third, then Furness, Munsell, Beckner, as Beckner still tries to cling to it. 6th place, then Silver and Weaver out of turn 4. Connor.
Yep, great battle there for that position. Shane Thiering, the last one to pit, gets up to 9th, so solid recovery for him. Boren, Robertson, Senesac, Gakjone, and Lakatos will be the last drivers on the lead lap to cross the line. And what can you say? Oh, slaughter into the wall at the line. Night to forget for him, as all sorts of fireworks kicking off on the front. But what can you say about James Scioli? He's my pick for a reason. I don't know how you guys let me pick him, because that 7 is on fire. You could say he got some South Beach heat in the engine tonight. That was as dominant as it will ever get in the area series.
Definitely does have South Beach heat, and folks, it is the way to go. If you haven't gotten yourself a bottle, I don't know what else you're doing. He's going to say it, $7 off. It's on the bumper. Does it almost every week. He feels like he's up here all the time. Get you some Rick's Hot Sauce South Beach Heat. It's definitely the winning move for Scioli. Could be the winning move for you.
Well, South Beach Heat in South Carolina gets it done here. Let's have a look at our race results here for tonight from Darlington, round number 7 of the Area Pro Series season. Scioli, Hartz, Weishart, Furness, and Munsell, your top 5. Then it's Beckner, Silver, Weaver, Thiering, and Tom Boren rallies for a top 10, Connor, as we look at 11 through 20.
Yeah, when the top 5 are separated by 10 seconds, you know you dominated. As we look at some of the drivers who had good runs going and couldn't finish them off, Brett Slaughter, the most notable there after his pit entry penalty. Still recovered for 17th, but could have been a lot better. Austin Gakjone, a quiet 13th. Senesac, too, quiet 12th place. Lakatos up to 14th. Matthew Cochran, he was kind of down and out all race long, but he gets back to 19th.
And Forrest Smith rounds out the top 20, and then Jordan Martin, Santo, Brown, Mitchell, Hearn, definitely did not have a good night there. Then we see Mohammed and Then the rest who failed to complete the race include Dunkelberger, Anna Sogak, Pam Brown, Steve Durham.
Yeah, a couple others that had some early outs as well. Garrett Grant, Dom DeLeo, Mason Kane, Chuck Sweeting, and Paul Irvin, the rest of the field. James Skyerly wins the race, but let's talk to David Weishart. Was running second most of the race. Strategy call to do a long pit there, an overcut on the number 7, hoping to maybe catch a yellow and run down the 7 at the end, David, but the track position ended up being the most important piece of that equation. Couldn't quite get back to second, but you come home for a top 5. Team did great. You're P3. Take us through your evening.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Was a little worried about starting 9th at Darlington. You know, it's so narrow. You can be caught up in anything starting right there. So kind of made my way up to second and was just really just chilling there. Same song, different verse as from Tuesday. I just had nothing for James on a long run. I could keep pace with him longer into a run. He didn't really extend his lead on a long run until I hit the wall. With 7 or 8 laps to go in that run, and I decided to run it a little long, and it was really loose that last run, but it was a lot of fun that last run. I mean, it was every corner I was sideways, just using up everything I had to get back up to 3rd. But overall, clean night, P3. We'll take it. My luck in this series has not been good this season. It's been on the hook a lot this season, so I'll take a top 3.
Well, 3rd place in a top 5 for David Weishart. David, thanks for chatting. Enjoy the week off here in the Pro Series. We'll see you back at Pocono in a few.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Moving on now to Ryan Hartz, who brought it home in 2nd place, snuck through past the 33 with his strategy call. Ryan, the 33, had a long pit there towards the end of that stint and was not able to get by you there at the end. There was a pretty good fight between you, Furness, and Weishart, but you rallied for second after starting way deep in the field. That has to feel good tonight.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels good, but at the same time, there's some disappointment, obviously, because I didn't win, but definitely it was a good run up to the front. I absolutely messed up my qualifying lap, and hell, lap 2, I got doored. I don't know why, and that gave me about 30 seconds of damage. So I felt like I was a little bit down on speed. I don't know, maybe not, but yeah, other than that, it was actually a pretty clean race for me. I had a lot of fun.
It was fun to watch. We have a couple weeks off, and then we head to Pocono, Pennsylvania, as far as hunting for wins. Is that a place that do you think you can get it done?
Yes, absolutely. Me and my teammate, Matt Bell, really like Pocono. We're just going to take these 2 weeks and practice a lot, and I think we'll be good to go for there, and I think I'll be good in Cup also, because Pocono is really fun. I always do really good there in other series, so thank you to Matt Bell for coaching me tonight. I know he had a bad night, but he was helping me out throughout the finish of the race, and thanks to IRLC Motorsports and for you guys for doing the broadcast.
Appreciate it, Ryan. P2 tonight in the number 3. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Thanks, guys.
And James Skyerly for the 5th time this season. And James, you're making it look easy out there. Led 118 of the 130 laps. Win number 5 of the season. You're about as sure as they come when it comes to dominant wins tonight. Connor picked you to win this race, and I'm feeling kind of silly for not doing that. Domination, everything was in the mirror. Take us through your evening. It was quick.
Thank you, Connor. And first off, I want to say a big shout out to Bobby Tinch. He races with us in the truck series. He's been recovering from some health problems lately, so I just want to say first off, big shout out to him. He puts Matco tools on the car, so big shout out to him first. And yeah, just I don't know, just qualifying first is such a big advantage, and so when I'm able to do that, just kind of makes things a little bit easier. Don't have to worry about trying to make it through the field. And I didn't really know. I thought that the car was going to build a lot looser than it was. It ended up building kind of tight, especially on the first run. So I had to try and back up my entries and try and get the car turned down the hill better in turn 2 to hopefully try and save the right front. I was not too sure if my long run pace was going to be good enough. David was quick, Hartz was quick, and when we came out of the pits and Hartz was only 2 seconds behind me, I was a little bit worried, but just tried to hit my lines the best I could and avoid the lap traffic and bring it home in one piece.
Well, Matt, you did. 5th win on the season, James. Congratulations, and enjoy a couple weeks off before we head to Pocono. Strong run tonight in that number 7 Rick's Hot Sauce Chevy.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Huge shout out to you guys in the booth. You guys definitely deserve a couple weeks off here. We've had some good races going into this break, so can't thank everybody enough for that. And then thanks to the admins especially as well. And then Code Skyoli, get you $7 off at rickshotsauce.com. Matt Code Tools, like I was saying, hopefully Bobby gets better. And then Daniel's Candles, Butt Kicker, and Chris Sports Cards. Thanks to all of them for being on the car, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
All right, James, enjoy it. 5th win of the season. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap things up from Darlington. This was a fun one tonight. We had lots of good racing and some dramatic points as well. But, Connor, we're going to take a couple weeks off before we head to the Tricky Triangle. 2 very challenging tracks nose to tail in this series right now.
Yeah, a lot more room at Pocono at the very least, but still very challenging, and it should be exciting. But definitely, I think a well-needed break. We've had a decent bit of momentum for all 3 series going into the break here very quickly, a week or 2. So I think much needed. Everyone gets kind of a little bit of a breather after a few straight weeks, 7 straight weeks of racing since Daytona. So it should be fun once we get back going, and it's going to be the most fun for the 7S Skyoli, who can continue to keep this hot streak going. 5th win of the season in Pro. What does he have? 3 in trucks. Not to mention Watkins Glen in the Cup Series. He's probably the only one in area who doesn't want a little bit of a breather, because he is on a tear right now, Hunter.
Yeah, he is indeed on a tear, and I'm going to be scouting Pocono out because it is my home track after all. So I'll be up there for the next 2 weeks, scouring every surface of the track, trying to gather as much intel as I can. But the rest of you guys, enjoy your 2 weeks off, because it'll be definitely fun to see the Cup cars come back Monday at Pocono. And interesting to note, trucks don't go to Pocono. They go to Martinsville, so you can only imagine how good that's going to be, the tempers and all that. And a couple Thursdays from now, or actually 3 Thursdays from now, yes, 3 Thursdays from now, we'll see the Pro Series return to Pocono.
That's what's next up on the calendar. I'll be at Grid Life Midwest Festival next week if anyone wants to come on out. If you're anywhere near South Haven, Michigan, gridlifemidwest.com for tickets. Grid Life Touring Cup wheel-to-wheel racing, the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship, drifting, concert with EDM artists, and much, much more at Gingerman Raceway in 1 week's time. Gates open. We'll see you there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Sim TV. Kyle Heyer, Hunter Sleppy, and Connor Warren bringing you the action. We'll see you next time.